Good evening. Tonight we're going to be doing Lesson 8 in the Module 3. I can extend the use of place value discs to represent 3 and 4 digit by 1 digit multiplication. Alright, so guys, we are going to be going back to those place value discs. And we're going to be going back to the partial product, which again is going to get us one step closer to regular multiplication, the standard algorithm way that we are all eventually going to have to learn. All right, so now we have 324 multiplied by 2. And here's our place value chart. And we also have over here our standard view of what this looks like. So let's look at placing our numbers, our digits in the place value chart. Let's start off in the hundreds place, and that's 3. So I'm going to put 1, 2, 3 discs in the hundreds. And we have 2 tens. I'm going to put 2 tens. And I have 4 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you notice, we're multiplying it by 2. So that means we need 2 groups of all this. So we have one group of 300, so we have to make another one. And we have one group of 2 tens, so we need to make another group. And then we have one group of 4 ones, so we need to make another group. So we have 2 groups of these of 324. All right, so now what does this look like onto our right-hand side here? Well, we have 4 ones, but we multiplied it by 2, so we have 2 groups of 4. So 2 groups of 4 ones becomes 8 ones. So how did we get that? We just did 4 times 2. Now if we go into the tens, we have 4 tens. Well, 4 tens we know is 40. But how did we get that? Well, right over here. We did 20 times 2 is 40. And if we go into our hundreds, well, we have 6 hundredths. So how does that look? 6 hundredths. And that's basically what we did here. 300 times 2. 300 times 2 gave us 600. Now these 3 numbers here are called partial products. They're partial products because they're leading up to our product. Product is an answer to a multiplication problem. So we need to add up our partial products, and we get 8, 4, and 6. 648. All right, in our next example, we have 5 times 605. So we have 4 groups of the 605. So we're going to start in the hundreds, and that is 6. That's 6 in the hundreds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We do not have any 10s, so I'm going to leave that blank. And we have 5 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones. But if you notice, it says 4 groups because we're multiplying it by 4. So I need to have 4 groups of 5 in my ones. So this is 1. This is 2. This is 3. And this is 4. So I have 4 groups of 5 in my ones. I don't have any 10s, but I need to show 4 groups of this 6. So here is our first group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our second group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's our third group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is our fourth group. So we have 4 groups of the 605. So now, how is this going to look in our ones here? Well, remember, we're going to have to group up our ones and make it into a 10. So right here is our first group There's our first group of 10, and we can cash that in and make that 110. And then we have another one down here. That's another 10, and we can put another 10. So we have two 10s. And now let's go to the hundreds. The hundreds, we need to group up 10. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can group this to make, let's extend our thousands. And this is going to give us 1,000. And then we need to get the next 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here's our next 10 right here. We're going to bundle that up and cash that in. So we have 2 in the thousands place. So we have 2,000. And we're left with 4 in the hundreds. So we do not have any ones. We have 2 10s. We have 4 hundreds because we cashed all of these in. And we're left with 4 hundreds, and we have 2 in the thousands. So how does that look like over here in the standard view here? 5 times 4. Well, if we did that, we have 20, just like we did. So we have 20, and how we got that was just 5 times 4. The next one, we have no 10s. 0 times 4 is just 0 10s. We don't have any 10s because that's just 0 times 4. And then when we go in our hundreds, we did 600 times 4, and that would give us 24 hundredths, 2,400. And how we got that was 600 times 4. And we add up our partial products. And when we add up our partial products, we get 0, 2 in the 10s, 4 in the hundreds, and 2 in the thousands, just like we did right here in our place value chart. All right, our next problem, we want to make sure we have our place value chart. And the next problem says 851 times 3. So let's put our 8 in the hundreds. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 in the hundreds. We have 5 in the tens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we only have 1 in the ones place. But it says times 3, so we need 3 groups of those. So what is that going to look like? Well, let me just fix that. Here we go. What is that going to look like? Well, we have 3 groups of it. So we need 1. We have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make another row of that. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so now we are able to see if we can solve this. So how many 1s do we have? Well, let's see if we can cash anything in. We only have 3 1s here, but let's look in our 10s, see if we can cash anything in. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can group this and make a 10 down here. So I'll give 100 there. So I cash these in, and I'm left with 5 in the 10s, and I just added another 100. So let's see if we can find another 100. We can group an 10 hundreds here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bingo. Found it. Right there is 1. Let's cash that in for 1,000. We use that up. See if we can find another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we found another one right here. So we cash these in for another 1,000. All right, so we are left with 3 1s, 5 10s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 in the hundreds, and 2 in the thousands. Well, let's see. Let's now work on this on our standard view here of 851 times 3. So we get 1 times 3 is 3, and how we got that is that we just multiply the ones. 3 times 1 is 3, just like we got here. Then we go to the next one. We go to 5 times 3, but this is a 50 because it's in the tens place. So 50 times 3 is 150, and that is just saying 50 times 3, which we have a 5 here to show 50. And then we had to regroup and give one of those 10 of those tens to give a cash in for 100. So now we have 2 in the, we have 8 times 3, but we regrouped that. So we have 8 times 3 is, that's not 8 times 3, that's 800 times 3, but we added that 1, so that becomes sorry guys, my machine screen froze. I had to take away that added that 1, so we have how many? We have 800 times the 3, which is right here. 800 times 3 is 2,400, which is really 2,400. And we need to add up our partial products to get 3, 5, 5, 2. 2,553. And guess what? It matches our place value side. And here's our standard, our partial product method on the right-hand side. All right, our next problem, we have 1 times 213. So let's place our place value discs in the chart. How many hundreds we have? We've got 2 hundreds. How many tens do we have? We have 1 10. And how many ones do we have? We have 3 ones. All right. So now we can go over to our, since we're only multiplying by 1, it's just anything times 1, it's that identity property, it becomes itself. So how many hundreds do we have? We have 2 hundreds. How many tens do we have? We have 1 10. And how many ones do we have? We have 3 ones. So now if we do our partial product view over here, 1 times 3 is 3 ones. 110 times 1 is 110. And 200 times 1 becomes 200. And we add them up. We add all partial products up to get 3, 1, 2. 213. So let's do the same thing down on the bottom with 2 times 213. So how many hundreds we have? We have 2 hundreds. How many tens do we have? We have 1 10. How many ones do we have? We have 3 ones. But it says times 2. So we have to do this again. We got to double this. So we have 2 in the hundreds. We need to have another 2 in the hundreds. Excuse me. We have 1 10 in the hundreds. We need to have another 10. And we have 3 ones. We need to have another row of 3. All right. So now we're able to look at this and say, okay, what is our partial view method going to look like? 213 times 2. Well, in the ones, we have 6 ones, we have 2 tens, and we have 4 hundreds. So how did we get 6 tens? Well, we got 3 times 2 gives us 6. Now let's go to the tens. We have 110 times 2, and 10 times 2 is 20. Now we go to the hundreds. We have 200 multiplied by 2. So we get 200 times 2, and that's 400. And when it comes to partial products, we need to add them up to get a product. In our ones, we have 6. In our tens, we have 2, and we have 4 hundredths, just like our place value chart right here. So we did good. All right, here's another one. Let's place them in. We've got 2 in the hundreds. We have 1 in the 10, and we have 2 ones. But it says times by 3, multiplying it by 3, so we need to show 3 groups of this. So we already have the first group. We need our second group and our third group. So we already have our first group in 10. We need a second and a third. And then in our ones, we need 3 groups. There's our second, and there's our third. All right, so how many do we have together here? Well, we've got 6 ones, we have 3 tens, and we have 600. That's how our place value chart's going to look. But now let's look at our partial product method. So 2 times 3, we have 2 ones times 3 ones is 6 ones. How we did that was 2 times 3. And then we go to the next one, which is 110. 110 times 3 is 30. And we did this by 10 times 3. And then in the hundreds, 200 times 3 is 600. And how we got that was 200 times 3. And what do we do with partial products? We add them to get a product. And in the ones, we have 6 ones. In the tens, we have 3 tens. And in the hundreds, we have 6. So 636. And if we look at our the place value chart, we have a match. So we did good here. All right, part B. 2 times 4,036. So let's place 4,036 in our place value chart. How many thousands do we have? We have 4,000. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We do not have any hundreds, so we're going to leave that blank. We have 3 tens. 1, 2, 3. And we have 6 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it says 2 times by 2. So that means we have 2 groups. So we already have our first group in the thousands. So we need another group. There's our second group. Now we have no hundreds, 0 hundredths, so we're going to the tens. And we have 2 groups of 3 tens, so we already have our first group. We need our second. And we need another group of 6 ones. All right, so now what we're able to do is see if we can group up any of these numbers. And I see 10 right here, 10 ones. And since we have 10 ones, we can cash it in for 110. So we used these up, and we are left with 2. And in the tens, we have 7 tens. We do not have any hundreds. And we have 8 in the thousands. All right, so let's see how well we can do this in the partial product method. We have 6 ones times 2 ones, which would be 12 ones. And we got this by 6 times 2. Now we go to the tens. We have 3 tens times 2 ones. So that is 60. And that's just 30 times 2. We go to the hundreds, and that's just 0, 0, 0. That's just 0 times, 100, 0 times 2. I don't even really need to put that there. And then we've got 8 1,000, because we did 4,000 times 2. And with partial products, we add them up, and we get 8,072. All right, guys, you give it a try. You never know until you try. 3 times 2,546. Please try this out using the partial product method and the place value chart. 3 times 1,407. Please give it to me the place value chart and the partial product method. Every day at the bagel factory, Cindy makes 5 different kinds of bagels. If she makes 144 of each kind, what is the total number of bagels that she makes? Try this out using the partial product method and the place value chart. All right, good job trying tonight, guys. It's quite a bit of work and practice, but we'll get there. We're on our way to standard algorithm and multiplication. Have a wonderful night.